preparing to live stream. Here we go.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko hoi mai nei, ki tēnei whare o tātou, ki te kōrero, ki te whakarongo, i ngā kaupapa o tō hapore, no mai, haere mai, nā reira, tēnā koutou katoa. Welcome along everybody to our Waipapa Papanui-Innes Community Board meeting today. First up on the agenda we have apologies, and I have an apology from Mike for an early departure and Simon for a possible early departure depending on what time the meeting runs till. So we need a mover and a seconder for those. Pauline, Emma is seconded. Put that motion, all those in favour. Right, that's carried. Item 2, declarations of interest. I haven't been informed of any. Item 3, confirmation of previous minutes. Do we have a mover and a seconder for those? Pauline.
Happy to second.
Simon seconding that. We'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
That is carried. That takes us to item 4, which is our public forum. We've got 2 presenters today. First up, we have Mike Stanley, who is going to speak on behalf of Delta Community Support Trust. Welcome along, Mike.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me and having me along in your meeting.
Great.
You want me just to fire ahead?
Yep. Yes, just take it away. Yep.
Yeah. Hi. Well, my name's Mike Stanley, and I'm the new, very, very new General Manager at Delta Community Trust. So I talked to Emma and earlier about the possibility of coming along and just putting us out there, just letting people know exactly what we do in the community and what we look like. So Delta has been around in the North Avon area for over 25 years. It was born out of the North Avon Baptist Church. Unfortunately, over the last 2 years, they've dropped away, which has meant that our governorship has changed a little bit, but we've been taken over. And now we have a partnership with the Delta Trust itself, but also the Baptist Association of the Canterbury Tasman region. We're still working through what changes that will mean to us, but it's an exciting time, and we've got a bigger organisation backing us, so we're not hopefully going to drop out of existence. So what do we do and what do we look like? We have 3 areas or divisions associated with it. I'll start with the easier ones to explain. Evergreen is a program for 65 years and older, for the oldies in the community. We have between roughly 65 to 70 of those registered that come regularly along. And when I say come regularly, what has happened in the past is that we get a group of 20 to 25 of them come per day into our premise, and we do a whole lot of activities from craft to exercise classes to outings. We have some shuttles to pick them up and give them morning tea and have lunch and socialise and provide extra support around things that they need, so we can make those connections with them, make sure that they're healthy and safe and what's going on for them. Recently with COVID, what's happened is that we've kept a lot of our services have been kept to remote, so we've been delivering. So each day our cooks have been making up 20-25 meals and delivering them by the van out to people and making connections on telephones just to try and make sure that those people in our community are safe. We had an exciting meeting yesterday afternoon, a very robust discussion with the managers of the different divisions about opening up, and we're going to start getting those people back in from May the 9th. So that's what we call the Evergreen. Another area that we have is what we call Friendship Link. For that particular thing, we have quite a number of them from our from Papanui area, from the area around here, the locals, but we do have some people come in from outside. So that's a group that supports and looks after and educates young adults and adults with mental and physical disabilities. We have quite a number of them, but over this period, quite a few have dropped away. So we've managed to keep that going by having a separate bubble and using part of the church. A lot of those people have trouble wearing masks and that sort of thing. So what we've done is keep them completely separate. So we've taken over part of the church complex for that, and we've managed to keep that going. But our numbers have dropped away to about 20 a day, and that goes 3 or 4 times a week. They have all sorts of things, from movies to, they love karaoke. You can hear them singing all around the building. And we do a whole lot of stuff about supporting them and building friendships and social groups for those people as well. So those are the 2 easier ones to explain. The one that's more complicated is what we call our community development services, and that covers quite a broad thing. So under that umbrella, Karen is a lovely lady who's the manager of that. Is the big thing that's really taken off over the last while, as you can imagine, is the food bank. We've gone from around about 1,400 food parcels to over 3,200, and even more in the fact that we are doing some for Ministry of Social Development as well, but that's a separate contract. So there's, that's outside of what we're talking about as a community thing. That's a separate contract. That need is definitely growing, and we don't see that easing up soon. So that has put a lot of pressure on our space and how we work around that. Up until COVID, what we did was we had a drop-in cafe, and that was operating on a Monday, and we had what we call the Delta Inn. Sounds very hotelish, but and we had meals on a Friday for the community. Community members could book in, and they were between $1.50 or $2, but at the end of the day, if they had no money, they were still given a meal anyway. And we give people the chance to come in and connect and sit. That's about building community and giving people the opportunity to, if they want to, talk to somebody around budgeting, advocacy. I suppose, being the new boy on the block, I've only been in the job for a month, but the thing that drew me to it was that Delta is an organisation that, although it's a Christian-based organisation, as a lot of charitable trusts are, for Delta, the thing that drew me to it was that there's no criteria and no judgment. And it's about meeting those people and trying to bring about changes to help them make their lives easier. But of course, that's dependent on them accepting it or taking up those if they want it. It's certainly not pushed upon them. The food bank, the advocacy, the budgeting, it all sort of pivots or jumps off that connecting with people and getting them to come in and feel comfortable and feel safe. And we certainly try to do that. It's been difficult over the COVID times, but again, we're looking at opening that up in the next little while. We have to find some space to put some of the excess groceries until we can shuffle them around. But we're working through those problems. Another bit that comes under the community development is around our refugee support and the refugees in our community. And we have a play group for the refugee young mothers, and we have ESOL programs that are linked to that. A lot of these programs and things that we offer, again, are just ways of getting people that support that they need. I think, and this is purely a personal view, which I experienced when I was involved in some of these things overseas, was that sometimes we make all sorts of assumptions about what people need, and we think if we give them a pair of shoes or some food and that, life will be good for them. But sometimes it's really important to ask them that question: what is it that you need? And an example of that was when I was overseas in Vietnam. Definitely the poverty was incredible there amongst some of the group. But what we found was that there was one group that was living in a slum, and what they really wanted was they wanted some way to educate their children, because they'd come into the city looking for work. They lived under the trees, under tarps, but they saw that the long-term goal forward was that if they could educate their children, then they would have long-term gain, and that they could move out of the poverty. The food gets them from week to week, but how do we bring about changes for those people in the long term? So Delta going forward, we have some challenges, as everyone else does. The really exciting thing is that we've built some really strong connections with some of the other food banks. Karen has done a great job with that. We share food around. So what happens is that we get deliveries from Foodstuffs and some of the other amazing benefactors that deliver stuff to us. And yesterday was an example. We ended up with 2 pallets of Easter eggs. So it's like, oh my goodness, what do we do with that? But what's happened is that we've got a really good network going amongst the administrators of the food banks now, and we share resources. So we keep what we need that we can give to our community, but then we stick the rest in a van or a couple of vans and we deliver it to the other food banks, and they do the same. So there's some really smart moves starting to come about making connections, and I'm really, that's something that I want to continue with, just not within our community, but in our neighbouring communities, around making sure that we're not jumping all over each other and all trying to do the same thing, that we know exactly who's in our community and what they're doing, and how can we support them and how can they support us, and how can we help the people in our community in a structured and in an organised way, rather than all trying to, you know, trip over. Sometimes we tend to trip over our egos about how wonderful we are, but you know, the people down the road think they're doing an amazing job too, but we need to connect with them and make sure that we're not all aiming at the same person in the same street, that we're missing all the other people in our community that are there and not recognised. I suppose to sum it up, really, it's for us, it's about breaking down that social isolation, promoting inclusion, and helping the people in our community have a feeling of ownership, that the community is theirs. And you know, we have some difficult people coming in and out of our building and some tricky situations, but at the end of the day, they're the people that we're trying to help. So we have to work around how we can best do that. I hope that you feel free in the next little while when we open up again to drop in and have a cuppa, and if you're going past, drop in. Definitely Monday cafe in the morning up until just after lunch, and the Friday meals are something to really behold, or even pop in and see the friendship people. They're full of love, and boy, can they sing. So I'm more than happy to answer any questions, but it's just, I thank you very much for the time that you're giving me, just to you know, to let you know that we're there.
Thanks, Mike. It's good to get an update from you, and welcome to our board area. And I just want to say I was really impressed when I did come through and meet you there the other day. I was blown away by the amazing team that you've got, and also just the amount of food that you had in there for the food bank. It's obviously you're doing a great job fulfilling that need. Do we have time for maybe a quick question? Did anyone have anything? Ali?
Yeah. Hi, Mike. Yeah, I've been to Delta a few times over the years. Amazing work there. Just really interested in the other contracts and stuff that you're doing. How much of the work that you're doing do you get additional support from central government for?
I suppose the only other big one for extra support at the moment, well, there's a couple, to be honest. So the Ministry of Social Development's one. It's very strictly run, and that was basically for providing very specified food parcels for people that were in COVID isolation. And we had a strict list. It wasn't allowed to be rescued food or anything else. It had to be purchased food. And that was kept completely separate in a separate part of the building. That was really busy for a little while, but that has really dropped away quite significantly, and the other food providers and food banks around the city are noticing the same thing. So that's one that's a completely separate contract, and we're very conscious that we have separate spaces for that and stored separately and dealt with separately. The friendship one is one that we have a slightly different contract for as well, because of the nature of providing education and support for people with intellectual handicaps and disabilities, and there's some separate funding that comes from that, so we try to keep that completely separate as well. But at the end of the day, we're very conscious of the fact that we don't want a whole lot of separate parts and separatism in our group. And I talked a little bit about this about the managers yesterday. You can tend with that sort of thing to fall into, you know, this is my space, this is my group, and I've seen that happen in schools that I've worked in too. And then, you get a separation. We want to be a community. We have different views, we have different stuff going on. We have to make sure that we also have that interaction as well. But that
any central government support on on the immigration and English as a second language? That was the area I was particularly interested in.
Yeah, that is probably, yes, and that is one that just didn't connect in my head, and probably because that has been just going on online at the moment with the COVID thing. Again, that's something that hopefully will start up again in the next month. I'm not sure what that budget is, but you're correct. Yeah, there is some around the refugee support and the ESOL.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for taking the time to come and speak to us today, Mike, and we'll look forward to working with you.
Great, thanks a lot. I'll just hop out if that's okay.
Great.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Right, we'll now move on to Jennifer Dalzell. Welcome, Jennifer.
Hi, well, I'm here today to talk about the proposal for toilets at 10 Shirley Road. Now, this whole issue arose because people in the over 60s units on Slater Street reported seeing men who had children on the pump tracks pissing in the bushes. But they say that since all the shrubbery's been cut down over there, that there has been no public peeing that they've seen. And the second thing that happened was that there was a youth audit of community facilities in the Shirley area. And one of the ways that the youth thought that 10 Shirley Road could be improved would be by putting a toilet on there. And like the issue that I have is that there has been a history there of things being put there that were supposed to be good ideas but have turned out to not be good ideas and are in fact detrimental to the site. And I refer specifically to the ping pong table and the Wayfinder Trail signboard, which both actually detract from the site. So to see what we were going to be in for if a toilet was put there, Don Gould and I went on a toilet audit around the toilet facilities in the local area. We went to Mcfarland Park toilets, St Albans Park toilets, and the Mcfarland Park Community Gardens toilets on Jebson Street, which I've got photos for here. And we also went to the Beverley Park toilets. And if you can look at the photos, you'll see what we saw. It was all quite...
I'll just interrupt there, Jennifer. We do have the photos. Oh, there we go. Cool. And they are on the hub as well.
Yeah, and I've managed to put them on my laptop so I can look at them as well. Yeah. Well, this was Mcfarland Park, and basically, I think here something had been painted off, something had been on the wall and had been painted over, but never finished. And like, look at the state of the floor. And then the next one, if we can just move on to the next one, that's also at Mcfarland Park. And once again, part of it's been painted. And like, it's all pretty dank and horrific, really. And that's Mcfarland, the next one, please. That's Mcfarland Park graffiti. And now the next one is, that's the wall of the whole toilet block and pavilion at Mcfarland Park. And now the next one is, that's the fence behind the toilet block. And there was, in this area, there was a lot of meth bags and booze bottles and general sort of rubbish of an antisocial nature. And now the next picture is that one there. I think that one, there was something on the wall above where you flushed the toilet and it had been ripped off, but that had never been fixed up. And you see that the floor needs painting. Now that's also Mcfarland Park. What was going on there? Oh, the next one, yeah. Is there was a guttering. Guttering was all broken and hanging down, so water was all running into that area. That's why it looks so disgusting. Right, now the next one, that's the roof, the condition of the roof from the inside. And now the next one, what was that one? I'm not sure. Just carry on, just the general horribleness of it. That is some sort of repair that had been done from something that had been broken. And now the next one is, this is at St Albans Park. And what was interesting there was no signage. Like, there's a big pavilion with a whole lot of green doors like that, and you don't even know that there's toilets there. We had to try all the doors. And there's actually 2 toilets, and we only knew the other one was there because a woman came along with her child, but he refused to go into it because it smelt so bad. Also at St Albans Park, there's there was plants growing in the guttering. This is St Albans Park, and that's a broken tap. This is the Mcfarland Park Community Gardens. Now, this was actually the nicest facility because it's in a really nice location. It actually had soap. None of the others had soap. It smelt really nice, but as you can see, our barge boards need painting and the roof needs some attention. And later we found out that a woman who lives opposite that Mcfarland Park Community Gardens toilet on Jebson Street, she reported seeing men using the toilets and not shutting the door. And so the next picture is, hello, there's one more, I think. One more. Oh yeah, like all the seats at these facilities that need painting, they all had paint flaking off them and didn't look very nice. The other thing was Don went back at night, and the only toilets that were locked after 8:30 was St Albans Park, Mcfarland Park and Mcfarland Park Community Gardens weren't locked, and also none of the lights were working. So, the Mcfarland Park Community Gardens toilet, although they were the sort of most pleasant ones, there was a drinking fountain outside that was leaking water everywhere. Like Don did go back and he has put in a lot of snap, send and solve. So some of these things have been attended to. Like I think they replaced the lights at St Albans Park, but what happened then was they were going on constantly. We then went down to Beverley Park, and what was interesting down there was the city care guy who cleans it and maintains it came while we were there. And he said that he sends pictures, he has to send, part of his job is to send photos in of things that need fixing. And he does that, but they're never fixed. So another one, in one of the other toilets, the soap holder had been pulled off the wall and had been attached back on with just a big lump of wood. So it was just sort of hanging on the wall. So the point I'm making is, although it might seem to be a good idea to put a toilet at 10 Shirley Road, this is what we're actually inviting onto the site. And I don't think that anyone could agree that this is a good thing to have in a community situation. They're pretty awful. Like it just seems to me that the state of public toilets hasn't improved since I was a child. This is what I remember from my childhood, being forced to go to these hideous places. So that's what we have to think about the issue of a toilet there. Is it really a good idea in the long run?
Great.
Any questions?
Unfortunately, we're out of time for questions, but we thank you for taking the time to do your tour and to bring us those photos and that information. We will discuss this later on in our meeting. We'll come back to it. So thanks very much, Jennifer.
Okay then.
Appreciate your time.
Bye.
That takes us to item 5, deputations. We do not have any today. No petitions either. So we'll move on to item 7, which is the submissions committee minutes. Do we have a mover and a seconder for those?
Happy to move.
Simon's moving. I'll second them. Put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
That's carried. Item 8 is the Marshland Turners safety improvements. So I've got Wayne here, but we'll take the report as read. So if we've got any questions for Wayne. Anyone?
Question.
Ali, go ahead.
Yeah, and look, I'm sorry, I can't find my notes that I made when I was reading this. Wayne, can you remind me, is there something in your report that makes mention of there not being any accidents, there not being any sort of requirement from neighbours or requests from neighbours for this? I'm just really interested in how this has come about and why it is deemed necessary.
Yes, okay, good question. Thank you, Chair and members. Thanks for having me. So So basically, we carried out that speed limit reduction, excuse me, in 2019, 2020, and we were asked to investigate if there could be any further interventions for intersection improvements. So this is basically a follow-on from that, from Aurelia School, and just the community feedback we got from that project was highlighting the fact that there are some lot of near misses and people feel uneasy waiting to turn right along that whole Marshlands corridor. So now we've had the signals at the Hawkins Sticks intersection completed. There is a right turn bay proposed at the Guthrie's one under Craft, and so this is a follow on. So Marshland Road itself is actually nationally in the top 10% of a road network for the DSI road network. So any improvements are welcome, and actually the safe and appropriate speed of 60 kilometres an hour at the time, it actually wouldn't alter that speed limit for any other intervention. So we feel that this is, we didn't have funding at the time when we were asked to investigate from yourself and the Coastal Burwood Board when we're doing the speed reduction. So we've just been fortunate enough to gain some funding to carry out these safety interventions.
Okay, thanks.
Emma?
Hi. I was just wondering, in regards to the safety, I see there is you're contemplating putting the yellow lines on one side of the road only. Would it not be better looking at doing the yellow lines on both sides? And I raise this issue due to, you know, again, if that when that occasion occurs when a driver comes up behind the person sitting in the middle of the road,
yes,
not concentrating properly, there's that little bit, you know, there's that definite more space that they can shoot off to the left, you know, and have space to correct themselves before going into a car or something like that.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Side investigations did show that no one was parking on that hard shoulder. They were, any of the residents on the west side of the road were actually parking. There was a large area, a shoulder area, that the unsealed shoulder that people were parking on. So it wasn't considered necessary. I do take your point though. We could have run some no stopping along the edge of that sealed section just to make sure that no one would, if we'd identified that people were parking there, we would have taken that next step. However, yeah, we didn't.
Won't they, if they can't park on the side of the road they're parking on now, won't they move over to the other side?
Sorry, how do you mean, Emma?
So you're saying that you did witness cars parking on the, what I'm going to call the right-hand side of the road. And if we're taking that ability away,
yes,
in the future.
No, sorry, there was no one parking. No one was parking on the right-hand side, as you say, the Turners Road side. Some residents did park on the shoulder on the left-hand side of the road, but they were parking up towards their boundary. So there was no one was actually parking on. There was about a 1.5–2 metre section of sealed shoulder from the edge line to where the shoulder starts, and then it's sort of grass and gravelly where their entrances are into their driveway. So no one was parking on that shoulder, Emma.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Well, it might be a good idea. To think future-proof the corner.
No, yeah. Point taken. I would probably have to quickly write some resolutions up now if that was the if that was supported by anybody else.
So, Emma,
Go ahead, Pauline.
Yeah, thanks. Look, I really support this and I'd like to move it. And I think, just following up from Emma, perhaps if we approve this resolution and staff just keep an eye on what's happening there to see if yellow lines might be needed on the western side. But I agree with Wayne that there's plenty of room there and people don't park on the road. If they do stop there, and they very seldom do, it's on the grass. There's plenty of room to manoeuvre should they need to. But can we just ask staff to keep an eye on that, Emma, in the meantime? And it wouldn't be a big thing to put yellow lines if they were needed. rather than change the
Agree.
resolution now. But I'm
Yeah,
happy
we
to
can,
move
we
the
can add a note to the resolutions that staff will monitor
Good
the-
idea.
parking on the western side. I saw
I'm
another
happy
hand
with
up.
that.
Simon.
Thank you. Yeah, just I guess related to that, just checking with Wayne, is there anything we are proposed to resolve today that we would resolve differently if we were going to have those western, potential no stopping lines, or is it just an easy addition later if the board so chooses or if staff recommend?
Yeah. There's nothing additional today other than perhaps monitoring and coming back with a resolution so it won't affect. And it's coming back later for no stopping on the western side would not affect anything else for this today's proposal.
Thank you.
Right, so Pauline has, Ellie, have you got a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't very clear when I asked the question earlier, Wayne. I think, and I'm sorry, I'm moving from screen to screen, which is why this is a bit of a pain, and now I can't get out of this screen. So could whoever's doing the sharing screen just move to where it makes mention of the CAS and the DSI, I think it is. Hang on a minute.
It's in the
5.1.
Oh, I've got it here now. It's in number 5. Okay, so it says Marshland Road has minor, and I'm not going to read the whole thing out. It says, although CAS has no recorded accident history, it says Mega Maps shows a high collective risk rating for this intersection. And it says it's been identified in the top 10% of the DSI road network. If there has been no recorded accident history, how does that rationalise with the Mega Maps and the DSI stats that you've got relating to this, and I guess the need or the recommended work that's required? That's what I was meaning to ask in the first place.
Okay, Ellie, yeah. No,
Yeah.
So it's actually taken over the entire Marshland Road corridor. So it's not a specific intersection, whereas Belfast Road, Guthrie's Road, Hawkins, Sticks. So it's all combined as a whole corridor. So the Marshland Road corridor. So it's not actually isolated. So that hopefully has that answered it, that it's actually a corridor, not a specific intersection.
So you've noted that
So
this specific intersection could gain from this work, as opposed to the reference to the stats, and the high risk is a network wide reflection. Is that right?
The 10%, the Marshland Road corridor is within the national 10% figure that we're proposing. Yes, I agree that CAS doesn't show any specific accidents, but as an overall corridor, making the whole network safer, this is part of that inclusion.
That explains it, Wayne. No, thank you. Yep, that makes sense.
Sorry, can I just ask another question there, Wayne? Because my putting in the yellow lines on the other side is not to reduce parking, it's to improve safety for the car sitting in the middle of the road. How many other situations down Marshlands Road are there where cars can sit in the middle of the road to turn right?
So we've got the Guthrie's Road intersection where that's happening at the moment, but like I said, that is being craft funded to be completed this coming financial year. Also, it was due to be completed this financial year, but due to a couple of various reasons, so it's been pushed out to next financial year now. I think October, November-ish. So if you remember, we came to the board and sent an email out saying about that intersection, and it was craft funded. So that would be the last one, because Sticks, Hawkins Sticks have just received signals into Belfast Road has a right turn bay already. So this is just basically the last intersection for safety improvements.
Okay, my point there is, as people travel down the road or up the road, it's not something that they come across once. It's a regular that there can be cars sitting in the middle of the road waiting to turn right.
Yes, at 2 intersections there are, but however, with a right turn bay included, there will be no one will have to swerve into that shoulder area following the marking the construction. So so that eliminates that risk of
Yeah.
swerving into a shoulder where a vehicle might be parked anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my thing is the extra safety element of having that space when there is drivers who haven't been paying attention to what's going on. All of a sudden, that car's sitting there in front of them, and they're sort of in the wrong lane, and they head off left in a hurry.
Yeah, I think our shy lines are adequate, so that shouldn't happen. The road marking provided will allow for that just to be a nice flow past the right turner.
Okay, thank you.
Mike, good question.
I'm happy to second it.
Okay, so Pauline has moved it, Mike has seconded it. And you'll see we've added the note there, number 8, notes that staff will monitor parking on the west side of Marshland Road opposite the intersection with Turners Road. Is there any debate? No, okay, we'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
That's carried.
All right, thanks everyone. I've got to shoot.
Okay,
Thanks, Mike. Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you.
We'll move on to item 9, which is proposed road names for 20 Mills Road. And we've got Paul here.
Morning. How's it going? Can I assume that the report is taken as read? The names essentially relate to Polish settlers in the area. There's one name proposed which actually relates to trees in the locality, but the vast majority of options relate to Polish settlers, and that builds on a theme on the neighbouring subdivision site.
Great.
Yeah,
Happy to second it.
So Pauline has moved, Ali seconded.
I've got a question.
Yes, go ahead, Emma.
Sorry. Is there going to be any plaque or any information in regards to recognising the name and its history?
No, typically most of the road names have some historical connection, that we put forward, and it's not typical for us to have plaques in place. The library every few years go through an exercise of recording the names of the reports on the internet. So there is a database that is available to go and look, at the reasons for road names.
Yep.
I'm not sure quite how far that goes back, and they are due, I understand, to revisit that database because it hasn't been updated for a few years. So I think that's possibly a job for a student one holidays.
Excellent. Yeah, because it would be really nice to start providing history behind the new parts of our city.
Yeah, and I think if the library database gets updated in a timely manner, I think that's quite a good forum for that to be addressed, across the city, not just for this specific subdivision.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Emma. Thanks, Paul. So we'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
That's carried. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Item 10, the area report.
Kia ora, morena. I will take the report as read, but Helen's not here, but just want to note that the Sheldon Park toilets have been repaired. The work there has been done. Happy to
Oh, look, that's just fantastic news to read that all that's done. I'm just absolutely amazed. So well done. It's fantastic.
Ali.
Yeah, I was thrilled to see all of that Sheldon work done. It was something at the time that was related to the 2 women who came to talk to us initially. Is that correct? Yeah.
Right.
I think, and no reflection, this isn't your job, Stacey or Trevor, at all, but I think it would have been nice to see this story be wrapped up. This would have been a really nice local paper story again. And I'm sorry, I've been...
Ali,
Yep.
Helen is working on there was a photo in the local paper of the 2 ladies from the netball club plus one of the younger netball players standing on the courts. And Helen is looking at trying to recreate that photo with those same people standing on the newly resurfaced courts. So,
thank you. That's great.
Yep,
awesome.
that is
really
happening.
Appreciate that. Yep.
Just as long as the young player hasn't gotten too tall in the meantime, otherwise it's not such a good look.
That might look quite good though.
That would imply it's taken a long time to get it done. So yeah, Helen is working on that. Pauline?
Cool. Yes, just a couple of questions on the report. So I don't know what page it is, page 50. Have staff yet met with the Shirley Road Central Group on site at 10 Shirley Road as they requested? Or are you intending to? I think you're still muted, Stacey.
Oh, sorry. I haven't personally, but I do know Steve from the Shirley Village project has talked with Joe Byrne and I think Jennifer and Don Gould about the youth audits. I'm happy. I think Kelly Henson is writing a report currently, and that will come to the board very soon about all of the things that we talked about at that site visit. So
yes,
the paripakus, the signage and that. But
well, I think it would be nice if staff, including Kelly, was to meet with them as well, because it's not just about the youth, and they're very supportive of the youth voice as well, but they did request a meeting.
Happy
and
to
the
do
other
that.
one is on the request for the information about the cycleway around, was it Radcliffe Road, wasn't it? Has that been communicated back to Clive, the response?
Yes, it has. It has.
It has. Oh, thanks, Mark. That's great. That's all. Thank you. Good report.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pauline. I'd just like to mention that we've got in there about the Edible and Sustainable Garden Awards. I think it's in there. Yeah. Simon and I and Mike have been around and we've delivered 3 of those awards in person, which is really great, to Ivan in Belfast, who's received an award every year since it started. And we went to Mcfarland Park, the community garden there, and also the Pack Street garden. So it was really great to be able to do that, and they really appreciated that. Ellie, you've got something?
Yeah, I just had a couple of things. And again, I don't know whether it's appropriate here, but I do want to keep them alive. Have we got an update on when we're going to hear back from Helen and the issue of the flooding outside Tim's? Where are we at with that? Apparently it was going to be presented to Pauline's committee, I think.
Staff are still working on the memo. I think the drainage assessment has been completed and that's being updated, but we don't have a memo at this time.
So we haven't got a time frame for that yet?
I've been asking about a time frame. I haven't been given an exact time frame, but I can see there's good progress on the development of that, although we don't actually have the memo at this time, but that is being worked on.
Okay, Emma, I don't know how we can do this, but it's not Mark's fault at all. I don't find that acceptable, to be honest. We're about to go into winter. Rain is an issue. This has been a problem for literally years, and the flooding was last December. So I know everyone's under the pump, no pun intended, but we need some information and deadlines as to when this is going to be delivered. It's gone on too long. It's ridiculous. So what could we do as a board, or perhaps, I don't know, Pauline's the chair, and it's in her and my ward as well. What can we do?
I think just leave it to staff to request. Perhaps they might have an update on developing a firm timeline.
That would help. At least that keeps it sort of kicking along. I think that. Thank you, appreciate that. The other thing is,
sorry,
I raised
Ellie,
the issue about starlings.
Sorry, Ellie, I was just going to say you could put it in here as a recurring. What do you call it? Recurring thing on here to be ticked off every meeting.
Yeah, so thank you. That would keep it in our view. That would be helpful. Thank you. I know it is in there, but it would be good to have some idea of where we're at as far as expecting it on this date, or we've gone back to them or whatever. Thank you.
Yeah, so can we just, before we move on, Ellie, so Mark, can we just add a note in there that we will request timeframes from staff around that information when
being made available to the board?
Yeah,
and or the committee. Thank you.
Yep.
I also wanted to follow up. It's mentioned in the report about Dave Garner talking about the speeds, and that was part of one of the deputations and correspondence. I understood that someone from Waka Kotahi was away on leave, and therefore we couldn't get the information that we'd requested with regards to medians, not averages of speed. Where are we at with that would be the other thing, please.
Yes, I can follow that up because he was coming back from leave around now, so I'll follow that up and make sure that information comes back.
Thank you. I did want to note that I found it quite incredible that with someone on leave that the information was not available to be progress to us. I would have thought the organisation was big enough and that the information was already in a form that it could have been reasonably quickly collated by someone else. But anyway, I just did want to note that. Is this the right place to address what Jennifer raised with regards to the toilet, because it's mentioned in the ward report? Can I just have some direction on that, Emma?
Yes, it's in the there is 10 Shirley Road is in the report, so
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, look, I'm really, really pleased that Jennifer brought those issues to the board about, or should this be in members exchange? I do just after some advice. What I wanted to say was I'm thrilled that Jennifer brought those issues with regards to the maintenance of these toilets. That is revolting, and I don't think it should be up to residents and people living in the area to have to do a toilet audit, for God's sake. I mean, I'd really like to know what is in our system that proactively council staff do to ensure that people aren't having to deal with that kind of revoltingness that we saw, and can we be assured that what we were presented with today from Jennifer and Don's toilet tour, that we can get that addressed ASAP. I do want to raise though that I think it was slightly disingenuous to link the problems that she and Don saw with dismissing the need for a toilet on 10 Shirley Road. I think just because we have got problems with these toilets and maintenance and condition of is not a reason why we shouldn't be considering a toilet on that site. But that's something that we can talk about at some other stage. And the last thing was the starlings. I know that this is going to be included in, or I believe it's going to be included in in the memo back. I'm very pleased to see that there's been a resolution in the starling issue. Again, I'm disappointed that it has taken as long as it has and taken so much effort and pushing by residents to be able to get a resolution. And as I said, I don't want to point fingers, but we need to make sure this stuff doesn't happen to others. So I just want it noted that we need to find out why this was so difficult for these two people to get a resolution that the board has now managed to get on their behalf. Thank you.
That starling matter is effectively part of the previous action that will be followed up, if that's all right in terms of the memo coming. So I probably don't need to action that one again, but could you help me, Ali, just with, is there a request going in here again about following up about the
yeah, well, I just, Mark, I mean, take your advice on this too, and Emma's as well, but the wording is not dissimilar to the wording that I sent in the email actually to you. So I don't know whether you want to just refer to the email sent requesting that not only is the resolution communicated to the residents, but also there is not investigation, wrong word.
Ali, I don't think we need to put anything in here about the starling issue, because as Mark said, he's asked for that to be included in the memo that we're getting, that question about why it's taken so long.
Yeah, that's still part of the previous resolution.
Yeah.
That's still in the action queue to be taken care of by the memo. But sorry, I'm just wondering if I've missed something about the toilets, whether there's a request in here about that.
Oh, well, can we just be sure as a board that the issues that Jennifer and Don have raised will be addressed by CCC maintenance staff, and we can understand why these toilets are in the condition that they're in?
Or can we also ask for information around maintenance of public toilets?
Yeah.
I think we need to be firmer than that, Ali. I think we should say we want these toilets fixed up, please, immediately. They look to me like a health hazard.
Yeah, that's true.
In a low decile area, it's disgusting. So, yeah. So, Mark, can you find some words?
Yeah, request that staff address the maintenance of public toilets urgently in the ward area.
Please. Yeah, please.
And I think that point that someone else said too, though, and come back to the board with regards to what the maintenance schedule is. I mean, what do residents have to go around and do their own toilet audits? I mean,
so Mark, can we be more specific to the ones that were actually highlighted in the public forum that are in our ward? I think just because those ones are the ones we know about that are actually disgusting.
I thought the signage was an interesting comment as well. I hadn't thought about that before, and Jennifer's right. There's no signage on those lovely toilets in St Albans Park. No signage that tells you that there are toilets there or baby changing facilities or anything. How hard would that be?
If I could just interrupt, Penelope Goldstone here, acting for Matt Pratt today. I think you should put the words levels of service in your resolution, because that's really what you're asking about.
Yeah.
What are the standard levels of service for public toilets?
Okay, so that's instead of maintenance schedule.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
On a standard level of service.
Can we put maintenance in brackets? Penelope, I do understand what you're saying, but levels of service is such a city council phrase. I mean, it actually levels of service means, you know, standard of maintenance. Can we just put them in there together so that people know what we're talking about?
It does say that at the beginning of the resolution, that staff address the maintenance urgently highlighted in the forum and provide information on standard level of service of maintenance and signage. You could add.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I think we maybe need to specify the signage at the St Albans ones.
Okay, and there can be some, you know, there'll be some notes in the minutes. So whoever gets this, the staff who receive this action will be able to understand from the notes and see the presentation as well.
Okay. No, that works well. That makes much better sense now. Thank you.
Cool. Simon, you've got your hand up.
Yep, thank you. Just a couple of quick things. One Mark has just done for me, moving the word urgently. Thank you. I think that sits better. Yeah, look, on Jennifer's public forum, she did note that some of the issues they'd raised have been addressed already, so that's good to hear. Agree with other comments on the state of those facilities. If I'm out and I need a toilet, I'd rather have a SCOTY one than no toilet. But I absolutely take her point that what her and Don have seen is not good enough. But I agree also with Ellie. It's no reason not to progress some thinking around what that could look like at 10 Shirley Road. Just the other thing, in 4.2 in the report mentions the skate park opening and the skate jam, which is scheduled for tomorrow. It looks like it's going to be a lovely day, and yeah, looking forward to that and seeing the outcome after a fairly drawn out process, just because it's been what it's been to get the implementation there. But yeah, it looks like should be a good day tomorrow to celebrate the completion of that project.
Thanks, Simon. Apparently that skate park has been getting a lot of use since it has been opened to the public as well.
Loving it. It's
yes.
Great.
Has anyone got anything else from the area report?
Happy to move it.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Emma.
Just one thing to bring up is under the Edible Garden Awards. I just want to raise that in the documentation there that we use the word suburbs and then have Māoriha, Edgware included, which of course are in the suburb. Those postcodes are in the suburb of St Albans. So it just another sort of raising of the issue of the City Council's communities of interest that aren't actually representing the communities of interest in Christchurch. And that is me.
Thanks, Emma. Simon, you've still got your hand up. Have you got something else or no? Okay, right.
Oh, sorry, Emma. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I do have one thing there. The customer request tickets that are in there. It's interesting to note that the average has moved up to 131 days for the tickets. And I thought we'd asked for the transport tickets to be broken down more. In the past, I thought we'd asked that to be broken down for us a little bit more, seeing we were having so many issues with transport in the area.
Okay, well, that's something we can follow up. We can make a note of that, Mark. And also, I'm assuming maybe that increase in the average time maybe has something to do with COVID, but maybe we could ask that of staff as well.
Yeah, I agree with you, Emma. I'm thinking that that's the reason why, but it would be interesting. I mean, only 25% are less than 10 days.
Mm.
Yeah,
right.
Thank you.
Cool. So Pauline has moved. I'm happy to second. So we'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
That is carried. And last item on the agenda is elected members information exchange. And I know hold on. Pauline wanted to talk about the trees by Westminster Park where those houses have been demolished.
Oh yes, yeah. Just that I'm really keen to have just a pop up there on Monday with the arborists. If that's organised, Mark, it would be great. Look, it's not a there's no recommendation in there. This is just what's happening there, and I think if we just go and have a wee look and the arborists can have a chat to us, I'd be happy to do that. I don't expect the whole board to have to go though, so I'm just happy to do that if anyone else wants to come. But is that locked in, Mark?
No, well, I'm just trying to secure that, or the project is just trying to secure that arborist. So we're meeting with a different arborist just before then. So he's on leave at the moment, so I'm not sure whether they can coordinate, or I'm just waiting to hear back whether the other arborist has already looked at these trees as available.
Okay, so I'll leave it with you, because it read to me, Ali, that the gum tree was healthy. It just was going to require pruning away from the power lines. So I'm just reluctant to see any good trees come under the chop if they don't really have to. And
I understand that, but I think it was greater than that. It wasn't just about the ongoing expense of pruning it. It was the fact that if and when there needs to be underground work done, we may as well do this at the same time. And also there was the issue with safety and visibility. Yeah. So, and look, you and I are always going to be at slightly different positions on this. I am very happy to leave staff to make the decisions on the things that they make decisions on. And I just think that, taking time, staff time as well, to meet on site with elected members to discuss things that they have already given an opinion on. I don't agree with that, but, that's your call, Pauline. And if you want to do that, then that's up to you.
Oh, well, it's a good thing to do, and you learn something every time, and if the staff don't mind, it shouldn't take very long, and I'd be happy to do that. So I've got another question about.
Sorry, Pauline. Can I say something on that as well? Because I had that down to talk about too. Do you mind if I
ask the chair? I don't know.
Go ahead, Emma. Go ahead. If it's still on that topic, that's fine.
Yeah. I wanted to raise the issue there about the fact that it is I keep on bringing it up, that it is possibly a new community space in an intensifying area. And I note that they talk about draining the area and so forth. And they also noted that there hadn't been any community involvement in what to do with the site. And the community hasn't been asked or it even suggested that this is a possibility. So it's, I don't feel that the fact that the community haven't had an input yet is valid. And also perhaps, it is an opportunity to actually provide some natural environment back into the area by not draining it and actually developing it as a swampy St Albans
little
area.
Wetland. Yeah, that's possible too. Just remembering that the main objective was to open up the park because of the septic issues with having those buildings there. But look, maybe we could pick this up as a board and just request what is planned for that site, and bearing in mind what Emma's saying, that there's a possibility to just turn it back into a natural little section that doesn't block the park.
Yeah, which actually may add to the functioning of the park itself.
Because blocking springs is a bit like whack-a-mole, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. And the other one I had was Factory Road. It's in the minutes at 14.1, page 26. Has anyone contacted that gentleman from the board yet?
Oh, sorry, Pauline, because I think did that go over to the office of the CE in terms of, I think there's a couple of lines of communication there where I think to my understanding of what I was told, it might be sitting there. So we probably just need to coordinate with them and check whether it's gone from that side.
Yes, there's a few issues. There's the volume of the traffic, there's the increased size of the trucks, the increased frequency of the trucks, the speeding of the trucks, and shaking of the houses intolerably. This has been going on for a long time. And also the damage to our council roading there is continually being pothole repaired. And so I think he indicated that he wanted to come and talk to the board, and I don't know if anyone's contacted him about that.
I thought of the OCE just to coordinate on that. I did have a good talk to Wayne about the issue in general, just to make sure that there wasn't anything that should be following up in the meantime. But I'll just coordinate with OCE and work out what's happening.
Yeah, because I mean, it's difficult with them because there's so many different issues there. So they'll have to sort of get different staff to go and talk to him. But it might be quite good if someone could contact him anyway and see if he's heard from anybody yet. Thank you. I think that's all I've got. Thank you.
Pauline, any other items? Emma?
Yes, a few. Just again, first of all, I've had feedback from Courtney Street residents again. They're still looking for some contact from council in regards to what's happening with Courtney Street. Springfield Road, an accident near miss was reported at the corner of Springfield and St Albans from a person in a wheelchair, and just want to reiterate that there are no safe crossing spots on Springfield Road. Cranford Berwick corner. The safety of that corner in regards to having the 2 lanes going forward through into down Cranford Street and the turning lane. Just want to bring that up again, and the fact that the left turning cars generally are halfway over the second lane, if it's free, due to lack of space for the functioning of that intersection. And what can we do about it? Perhaps going back down to 1 lane there could be a suggestion. The Innes Road accident, that hasn't been followed up, and I'd like to, we asked for some more detail about what happened there. I'd like that followed up. The Belfast network, it'd be great if staff could just let us know how they are going after hearing of their woes and issues. Hopefully they're getting a little bit more support out there. And overcoming some of their issues that they've got going on there due to COVID. Francis Ave, there was a derelict house there that staff were meant to be following up about what was happening. Was it Francis Ave or Flockton? I think it's Francis. But we reported a derelict house there that
It's a shocker, isn't it?
Yeah, the neighbours were complaining about that house, and that's been left out of the report. So if we could have some further information on that by next meeting. And I'll put the old Palm Drive back in there. What's happening with that? And another thing, just want to put back in there again the covered bus shelter that's been requested for about 10 years on the just outside BP on Cranford Street. The bus shelter there, I don't have any idea about its actual use of that bus stop, but it is right in the village there, and I would suggest that it should be requiring some sort of shelter, which is not there, and the community has asked for that for many years. And yeah, based on the information that we were given today about the right turning lane on Marshlands Road and how they came to the conclusion of doing that, it brings back more thoughts and questions into around why Rutland Street is not being reduced to 40k in that Papanui Road speed reduction program. And I really think that with the cycle lane coming down there and thing, that should be revisited. So and the only other thing I had to say was, are you all aware of the fireworks that we have going on around the community? The 6 shots. Have you heard? Have anyone else heard them? My belief is that is an indication that the meth is ready. So
the what?
The meth is ready.
Oh my God, you're saying it's a drug signal?
Not very subtle, is it? Especially now.
Yeah. So, if you do hear them around, I reported, one to the police the other day. So, that is my understanding, that I've been told that that's what it indicates is happening, is that the meth is ready and come and pick it up.
Cheapest.
Emma, could I just follow on from the Belfast Community Network comment, because I kind of wanted to raise that as well, that when they gave us that heartfelt deputation that brought tears to all of our eyes, I'm sure, and I wanted the board to write to Matt Ducey. Now, Emma, you then referred to a meeting that you'd had with Matt Ducey, but I haven't seen any oversight of that. I'm sorry if I've missed anything, but in lieu of that, I think we should still write to Matt Ducey, because, as you know, and Ellie, you're big on this, and we've all supported this, that it's the MSD and the government should be funding this aspect of the health in our communities, not just us. We already support the Belfast Network, so I'd be really supportive of us getting a letter together for Matt and saying, can you provide some resource for these very stressed out volunteers around their resilience and their the sustainability of this program in these circumstances in this challenging time of COVID. Do other members support that?
Yep, I'm happy to do that. That meeting that I had with Matt, he has a very good relationship with Linda, and what I got out of that was that he had discussions with her at that time. I think this is probably 18 months ago now that we had that meeting, and he had made her aware of funding that was available and support that was available for community groups at that time. But I think it would be timely things have changed since then. At that point, I don't think we expected to still be in this situation now.
Yeah. I think Trevor's got a comment.
Trevor's got a comment. Yep. Go ahead, Trevor.
I'm following Linda's report to the board. Some internal funding was able to be released to support the volunteers.
From council, from us.
Yes, internally, yes.
Yeah, thank you. And that would have been nice if we kind of known about that too, but well done. But yeah, it's that whole issue though that we need to share this responsibility. We're not a bottomless pit, and it needs to be from the Crown as well, which was Matt Ducey's responsibility to find some money for them if you can. That's all. Thanks.
Simon, you've got something to add?
Yeah, thank you. Just going back slightly, Emma T, just wanted to check, you mentioned a near miss on Springfield Road and the issue around safe pedestrian crossings. Do you know where on Springfield Road that happened?
Yes, it was at right at the intersection of Springfield, St Albans Street.
Right, okay, cool, thank you.
Yeah, but it did raise...
There is a pedestrian refuge at that intersection.
Yes, there is, yeah.
I was wondering if it might have been nearer the Edgware, Aberley, Springfield intersection that staff have raised with us before. Might be something for us to come back to in the future as well.
It's really challenging because it's offset, that one, so it's a difficult, really difficult one. It's quite a horrible corner.
It'll be entirely within this community board's area after the change in at the next election. So it won't be a boundary issue with two boards needing to sort of feed into a single decision.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
It does bring up the interesting point that yes, you can go to St Albans Springfield corner to cross with the safety in the middle, but that corner is really busy, and if you're anywhere else on Springfield Road, you actually have to go down to Beeley Ave to get a safe crossing point.
Just one other thing while we're on that intersection, Mark, can we please ask enforcement to check people parking in the there's a clearway right on the St Albans Road right outside the doctors, and that always has cars parked on it in the morning when it's meant to be a clearway. So can we ask enforcement to check that, please? Also, Emma, with the other point you made about the Berwick-Cranford intersection, we can bring that up. I think it's next time we have a briefing with the DEMP team.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Emma.
Yep. Ellie, you had something else?
Yeah, just referring to what Emma raised about the accident with the young girl on the scooter. That's been really widely reported in the media. So if you haven't seen the story, I'll send you the story, Emma, but it's pretty much cut and dried, I think, from what the media is reporting, and with respect and paying respect to those involved, for whom it must be horrible both for the girl's family and for the driver. I personally don't see any need or advantage in the board looking into that any further. So if I can send you the story, that should address it.
Is that an updated story on the... Okay, yeah.
It was essentially an outcome, and the outcome was essentially that there would be no further investigation, so that was after the initial report about the accident.
Yeah, police found nothing there were no charges being laid or anything. Police didn't find any reason.
Okay, sorry, I missed that, so yeah, I haven't seen that.
Oh, that's right, I'll find it and flick it to you.
Thank you.
Right. Back to Pauline, that letter. Is everyone else supportive of us coming up with another letter?
Yes.
Do we need to make it just to Matt Ducey, or do we send it to the other local MPs as well? I think it's an across the board thing.
I'd put it to them all.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll just keep hammering it, eh?
Yes, definitely. Okay, so if there is nothing else, then we will close the meeting. So thanks, everybody.
Kia ora. See you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll remember Open Christchurch at the St Albans Community Centre tomorrow too.
I don't know about that. What's that?